If you just found out you're moving to Dallas and you find yourself dreaming about countertops and hardwood floors, just stop, okay? Because you're going about this the wrong way. Your home is an investment and you need to be strategic in your home purchase, especially if you're moving from out of state. The last thing you want to do is overpay or buy in the wrong area or buy a poor quality home. But just because that happens to some people doesn't mean it has to happen to you. And today, we're going to make sure it doesn't. Well, hello, this is Wendy Pennell, and according to a 2020 survey of consumer finance, homeowners have a net worth that is more than 40 times greater than their renter counterparts. In fact, get this, the survey showed that homeowners had a net worth of $255,000 in 2019. Renters had a median net worth of just $6,300. Natalie Campisi comments that this reinforces the idea that owning a home is a smart financial move. But, she continues, the advantage of home ownership is not just the property you own, but the financial mindset that helped you arrive there. And she's right, it absolutely is a mindset. But in the midst of relocating to another state, it can be easy to discard that wealth building mindset that's gotten you, so far already, along with viewing your home as an investment in favor of just getting settled, right? Just getting settled somewhere before the kiddos have to go back to school. But listen, even if you only have a few months to get settled, okay, you can be very strategic in your home purchase. With your mind being overall focused on your home as an investment, you need to strategically think through these things, okay? You ready? Where you're gonna buy, what kind of home you're gonna buy, and who's gonna help you buy it. If you're starting from scratch, the where may seem extraordinarily daunting. And of course, in the back of your mind, location is everything, which doesn't exactly lift the pressure. The Metroplex is massive. You're viewing your home as an investment, which is exactly, what you should be doing. And maybe you don't have a whole lot of time to get settled. So let me give you a few pointers, okay? Your first consideration is, are you limited by a commute to a specific location, okay? For many, this is, their job, obviously. For others, it could be a private school their child will be attending, or for others, sometimes it's their church. Well, if that's the case, the MLS will allow you to structure your search based on a commute time, okay? So say, for example, you'll be commuting to the Intel Corporation in Plano, okay? You can enter that location on the MLS, the day and the time you'll be commuting, and how long of a commute you're willing to have, okay? And then the search will automatically generate your search boundary. Now, you may or may not have a commute, but if you do, okay, that should be your first step. Okay, let's move on to step number 2, schools. Are school ratings important to you? All right, let me answer this one for you. It doesn't matter whether or not you have children. The answer is yes, okay? School ratings are important because they affect property values. So from the standpoint of viewing your home as an investment, you need to have an awareness of school ratings, okay? If you don't have children, you may not need to be in the absolute A+ top rated school district, but you still need to be taking ratings into consideration. One question we get asked a lot is, how do you figure out which schools are best? Well, at the end of the day, that's a decision, really only you can make. But our personal approach is we like to take the Texas Education Agency ratings on school districts as a whole, okay? Take that and then cross-reference it by the greatschools.org website, which measures schools individually, okay? And if that sounds like a whole lot of time-consuming comparisons, well, for our clients, it's not, because we provide them with a comparison chart that we've already prepared, okay? So on the left, we'll have all the A-rated schools by the Texas Education Agency, and then we have 3 columns on the right that show the greatschools.org ratings for the individual schools for elementary, middle, and high school. So cross-referencing both sites is important, and it really brings in a balance between the two, okay? Because you have Mansfield, for example, it has a TEA rating of B, but it has tons of 10 out of 10 schools. And on the other side, you have Princeton and Salina, okay? They have TEA ratings of A, but they have some schools rated in the 4 out of 10 and 5 out of 10s, okay? Now, if you're looking for, the top A-rated schools, You're gonna find them, okay, using this approach, but you'll also find plenty of areas that are reasonably good, you know, even if they're not like straight A's across the board. Once you've decided what schools work for you, we're gonna enter that into the home search. Now, to keep things simple, we're gonna assume in this video that you've chosen TEA A-rated schools, okay? Now, often what we'll do in setting up a search is we're gonna search by school districts instead of cities, okay? So if you want Prosper ISD, for example, a large part of Salina is in the Prosper ISD, and you wouldn't wanna miss those opportunities. So we go into our home search and enter all A-rated school districts, okay? So now we've combined our commute time with the schools and we get these results. So you've picked your location by commute time and schools, but is this even realistic for your budget? Well, now we're gonna add price to the search, so we'll find out, okay? Now, a fairly common price point we work with here at home in Dallas is the 600 to like 900,000 price range. So we go ahead and enter that and we come up with these results. Now, at this point, we'll either find your price is realistic, okay, and there's a manageable selection of homes to look for, or we may find out, you know, that there's either too few results or in the other extreme, too many results, okay? Now, if there are too few results, at that point, we go in and reevaluate schools. Okay, remember, there are plenty of perfectly acceptable B-rated schools that have high individual ratings, okay? So we would simply get out our list of B-rated schools and we'll do some more comparisons. Now we move on to our next filter, which focuses on the city itself. When looking from an investment standpoint, the city is really important. You want to look for things like growth and projected growth, okay? Like, you know, cities like Salina, for example, are growing astronomically, okay? This makes for a great place to invest because of all the incoming demand. So what you want to do is you want to ask yourself, okay, you want to look at where you're buying and say, you know, what will demand be like, you know, 5 or 10 or even 15 years from now when you're ready to sell? You also want to look at things like highway access and projected highway access, okay? If there's a city off on its own with poor highway access, you know, that's already like oversaturated with new construction, that's probably not going to be, you know, a good place to invest. Another consideration is how much in the way of retail and shopping does the city have, or can it reasonably be expected to have? Okay, again, if you have a small city, okay, with poor highway access and very little projected retail, you can't be sure that people will move there, and by doing so, drive up demand. Now, both small and large cities can be great solutions here. Your focus is more on future growth, all right? Now, you're gonna be able to find out information on individual cities, like through their city websites, and also through just, you know, basic Google searches, you know, or you can talk to us, okay, and we can point you in the right direction for third-party sites, you know, that'll provide that kind of information. Speaking of which, if you'd like to reach out to us, okay, your best way to do that is gonna be through our Let's Find Home questionnaire, which you can find in the description section. We'd love to get acquainted and help you out in your move here. Now, at this point, personal preference finally begins to play a role. Okay, there is a huge range of fantastic cities, both large and small, okay, that will meet the criteria we've been talking about, right? But it could be, you know, just from, you know, a preference standpoint that you only want a large city, okay? Because maybe you want to be, you know, you want to have a lot of amenities, a lot of opportunities, okay? Or, you know, you may want, you know, smaller cities. You may be like, no, you know, Wendy, I just really want more of, you know, like a small town rural feel. Many of our clients will make an initial visit to Dallas at this point with the focus of narrowing their choices down to just like a few cities and suburbs. Now, I want to give you just a few more practical tips on narrowing your location, okay? The first one is consider showing preference to an area that has a higher percentage of owner occupants, okay? By that, I mean people who own their homes instead of renting them. Now, many buyers, you know, will prefer putting down deep roots, and they'd like for their neighbors to do the same, okay? Well, that can foster, you know, a stronger sense of connectedness, you know, maybe a little bit more predictability and stability in the neighborhood. Now, that is, you know, purely a matter of preference, but if you'd like to know that information, you can find it on worldpopulationreview.com. Secondly, you're going to want to check crime ratings, okay? Now, there are many ways you can do this, a lot of helpful sites. A few we use around here at home in Dallas are Family Watchdog and crimegrade.org. Third, it's a good rule of thumb to not be the most expensive home in the area. If the median home price in a suburb is $500,000, for example, okay, you do not want to buy a $900,000 home there, okay? Ideally, you want your purchase price to be, at the very minimum, right in the middle, okay? So like if you're in, the $900,000 range, you want to make sure that there are plenty of homes that are worth, and selling for like well above $1 million. Well, now we're finally ready to think about the home itself, okay? Can you believe, we've spent that long just focusing on location, but that's how important location is when it comes to viewing your home as an investment. Now, this is the part, right, where it gets fun, okay? Do you want a 1 or 2 story? Do you want a pool, Do you want a big or a small yard, okay? Well, this is also where, we would discuss the age of the home. Do you only want new construction, okay? Many of our buyers do. Looking at this again with your home as an investment, you want to be thinking about how your home would resell, okay? So there are some important tips to this. First of all, don't go with a weird floor plan, okay? Go with something that's universally appealing. Secondly, many buyers do not want a home with street noise, okay? So does the yard back up to a noisy street, okay? Your home can be perfect for a buyer in every way, but if it has street noise, they'll pass. So don't buy near traffic or busy streets, and don't just think about the here and now, okay? Consider what that street might be like, like 5, 10, or 15 years from now. All right, thirdly, yards matter, okay? You may not care if the yard is the size of a postage stamp, okay? But I promise you, future buyers will. Now you can get the location and the type of home picture perfect, but still end up with a horrible investment by getting the wrong kind of help. The first way this can happen is with the relocator who comes to town for a visit, meets up with a sales consultant at a beautiful model home, and just like that, signs on the dotted line. Okay, there's such a sense of relief, right, to have made that decision, but you've rushed into it, okay? Usually you're wowed by a $20,000 incentive package, not realizing, you're overpaying by $50,000 in order to get that package. You need to know the sales consultant does not represent you in any way, shape, or form, okay? They get paid by the builder, they represent the builder, and they want you to pay the highest price you can. Some traps you'll run into at this point are overpaying in both the home itself as well as with your financing, okay? Often the home builder and the lender are both owned by the same company, right? So if you don't know what closing costs should be, you're not going to know that you're overpaying, okay? Many, many times the builder's lender will charge what are called discount points, okay? These add thousands of dollars to your loan, and if you don't know to look for them, you won't know to negotiate them. So you end up paying thousands more in closing costs simply because you didn't have a professional reviewing it with you. So now you've overpaid for the home, you've overpaid for closing costs, right? So you found a home in a good area and a solid home that will resell well, but you're underwater and you're out of cash. Another trap that's easy to run into might look something like this, okay? You see a home that was listed for $950,000 and now it's reduced to $850,000, okay? You see it on Zillow and you run straight to the listing agent because you just know, right, that this is an amazing deal and you know it's gonna be gone by tomorrow. You just know, right? Well, what you didn't stop to think about is what if the home is really only worth, $825,000? What if it was just grossly overpriced to begin with? Or what if home values have dropped since then, okay? Which in this market is very possible. Just remember, if you work with a builder, they want you to pay the highest price you can. If you work with a seller's realtor, they also want you to pay the highest price you can. But suppose here you are on YouTube and you know to use a realtor who represents you and you only, okay? Your trap here, and the one you want to look out for, okay, is the phrase, me and my team. I can tell you right now, most of them are gonna say that, and certainly the larger channels will. Now, in this situation, due diligence will serve you well, okay? Because the only person you actually are familiar with is the YouTuber, okay? So, should you choose to go with a me and my team YouTuber, find out who it is you're getting assigned to and how experienced that person is, okay? Because chances are you may never actually work with or even speak to the person, whose face, you've come to connect with. Now, you're not going to find that here at home in Dallas, okay? Because, we're a family brokerage and we're already in constant communication, right? But you will find it with many YouTubers, and so it's something you just want to be aware of. It may very well be, okay, that you're still caught very much in the should I even buy right now or should I wait and watch the market dilemma? And that's completely understandable. In which case, you may want to watch this video here where we spend the entire video helping you make that decision. In the meantime, Wendy out.